Hey, all right, welcome back to ATI. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching that live clip. If you missed our live coverage, now you know what it looks like. Yeah, we lost a few people, but you know what? You have to try. All right, here we go. Let's bring in the panel. This is the NADA 2023 Expo Evolution discussion panel. It's after NADA. Let's see what happened. Let's talk about it. Please do help me welcome. Oh, let me get these. I got these pesky titles on the screen. Please help me welcome. We've got Tom Kline from Better Vantage Point. We've got Josh from ComplyNet. Josh, will you say your last name for me?
Koronich. You almost had it the first time around.
So close. Koronich?
Koronich, yes.
All right. Well, I apologize.
No worries. No worries.
All right, cool. All right. And Susan O'Rourke from A to Z Sync. Say hello, Susan. All right, cool. So we're here. It's after NADA. It's anybody's guess what we're going to talk about. Who wants to say something?
Well, I want to talk about Tom's post.
Take it, Ty.
And Tom Kline.
Yes.
Right?
Talk about it, Ty.
Okay, so I see this post. I'm tagged in it, and I'm like, wow, that's really nice, Tom. So I made a little comment, said we were talking about you, and put the link to the show that how I met Josh was on because of you.
Right.
So tell us about the post. Tell us what you were thinking. What are you doing? Tom Kline, wait, tell us who you are first, because you're a big deal.
Yeah.
Tom Kline's a big deal.
So I'm Tom Kline. Yep, give me another bell. Thank you. As long as you don't give me the buzzer, Jay. I have been in the car business for 30 years plus. My family started in the car business in 1925. So almost 100 years we've been in the car business. So I'm a third generation car guy. And what I do, let me describe this way. I'm a risk mitigation consultant, which means I help dealers make sure that their problems don't become big, both from a governance GRC, which stands for governance, risk, and compliance. And the best way to explain what I do is if you think about a dealership, dealers feel like they're trying to tuck an octopus into bed every night, right? And the tentacles keep flopping out and they go everywhere and you can't keep them all tucked in. Well, I'm the guy who helps keep them all tucked in to make sure that from a risk perspective, that they've minimized their risk, they have the right kind of insurance, they know where their risks are, they know where the compliance that they should be doing, they're working on their compliance, and that's kind of the world that I live in.
Wow.
Does that make
sense?
A big
world. You know, that visual was really good. The octopus.
Yeah, it was a great visual, but tell them the story about the nuclear verdict. That to me is a really good story too. That's actually how I met you. I was like, I'm looking at Tom like, I have no idea what you just said. And he's like, you've heard it. What was it, Tom?
I don't remember which verdict we were talking about, but there have been so many recently that because of a lack of controls and a lack of good faith handling of customers, you know, Napleton Automotive last year was fined $10 million. Passport Automotive was fined $3.38 million. Dan O'Brien Kia was fined $1.25 million in New Hampshire. I mean, I could keep going on and on, but a lot of money.
I want to ask this. I've read some headlines and I glaze over them because I don't know what we're talking about half the time. What would you say are the top three? You know, what are the top three reasons why a dealer has a major risk problem?
There are. I'm glad you said top three because there are three. So, ding.
It's going to be on Larry's test. It's going to be on the test later, everybody.
Yeah. Take notes.
Three top reasons.
The top three reasons are that dealerships don't handle their customer complaints. Let's start with the online complaints. So when a customer complains online, and I see this all the time. I talked to a dealer today, had this very conversation. I said, don't invite them to call you. They've already told you what the problem is. Pick up the phone, get them back into the store, and fix the problem. Don't apologize and say we're sorry and we've reported it to our management team and we're trying to get better. Nobody wants to hear that. They want their problem fixed. Pick up the phone, get the customer in, fix it. And then once you've earned the right to ask them, you ask them to update, and you use the word update. Would you please update your review and let everyone know that we're not such bad guys after all? Very simple. If you ask them to change their review, they go crazy because they feel manipulated, right? So number one is customer problems. Number two are employee problems. Do you have an open door policy to make sure that if your employees are having an issue or a concern, that they can go talk to somebody and try to get it resolved? Generally, when employees feel like they don't have anybody to talk to, that's when they go to lawyers, that's when they go to regulators, that's when they go to the EEOC. Problems start when you're not handling your I call these the two-legged problems, right? Employees and customers. And then the third is unintentional advertising violations. There are a lot of dealers who are trying to do it right. There are also a lot of dealers who don't try to do that right. But as an example, I was on the phone with one today, and I said, look, on your MSRP price, and I chose the first vehicle, on the MSRP, there's no asterisks next to the MSRP to indicate that the customer is supposed to look at the disclaimer. And the standard, without going into too much stuff, is it has to be clear and conspicuous. So if the disclaimer is not clear and conspicuous, then it's considered an advertising violation. And so the top three really are those, and then there's a whole litany of things. But if a dealer controls his two-legged problems and his advertising problems, I'm going to tell you 70 to 80% of their problems are going to be handled.
Amazing. That was amazing. And we didn't know we were going to even do that.
That's
but I
amazing.
just learned a lot. And I want to
I did
say,
too.
has anybody seen Pepsi Where's My Jet on Netflix?
No.
Check this out. Pepsi Where's My Jet. What happened was Pepsi ran a campaign in the 80s where if you got enough Pepsi points, you could actually win a Harrier jet. Now, Pepsi says that, well, spoiler alert.
A Harrier, Jay?
A Harrier jet.
Okay.
A Harrier jet. Now, what do you think Pepsi said? Let's do it that way. When the guy said, I got the points, I want my jet, what did Pepsi say?
Sorry, you didn't qualify.
And he said, yeah, but you advertised it. I want my jet. And he hired lawyers, and they went to court. This is a Netflix documentary. It's amazing. Pepsi, Where's My Jet? You will love it, Tom.
It sounds great.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
I'm going to write it down.
It's really good. I recommend it to everybody. All right, so we just went. Let's go, and we're going to come back to podcasters, Tom. But let's switch it up a bit. Susan, you gave us a lot of time right before NADA. We also caught up with you live. Please say hello. Tell us a bit more about you, and then we'll kick it off from there.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Super excited, and I was happy to connect with you at NADA. Yeah, A to Z is a little bit different kind of company trying to change the way cars are bought and sold in the dealership world. So I work on the strategic development team for the company, trying different ways to get into dealerships and also cultivate different partnerships. But a little bit about A to Z Sync. We were born out of the Schomp Automotive Group in Denver, Colorado. They're a very progressive group. They've always have been. They went one price in 1997 and then one person in 2007. So they have always been pushing the boundaries on how to enhance the customer experience. They're not the typical dealership. So, after a while, a lot of dealers have been asking them why they were so successful, why customers keep coming back, and also why their gross is so high. And that's how A to Z Sync was born. They wanted not only the training, but the software. And the software has evolved over the they built it in 2014, but the software has evolved over the last couple years into what it is today and has scaled outside the Schomp Automotive walls. So we do a lot. We're kind of trying to be one screen for not only the customer, but the employee as well, to navigate correctly and streamline the process in the dealership. But before that, I actually worked at ACV Auctions. I was one of the original inside salespeople there, so I got to see that rocket ship go off and was a part of different teams all across the nation, and they brought me out here to beautiful Denver, Colorado. that's a little bit about me.
You know, so you just mentioned two companies that are all over the place. I mean, A to Z is a name we hear a lot. Why do we hear A to Z Sync so much?
Well, we hear A to Z a lot, and maybe some people call it SPOC, single point of contact, one person. But a lot of dealerships are trying to minimize the friction points within the sales process. There's too many people touching the deal. It shouldn't take 6 different people to sell a car. It really shouldn't. It's at most maybe 2. There's the salesperson and the sales manager that is involved behind the scenes. We compare the A to Z model to a restaurant. You have your waiter, the person who is building that relationship, talking to you, consulting on what you should eat, things of that nature. And then you have the sales manager who might step in to say hi. Also, might ask the waiter questions about what's going on with that table, etc. And then you have the chefs in the kitchen. So those are people that are just submitting deals and also processing the paperwork, who are trying to get deals bought. So, and also like all the integration partners we have too, I consider the chefs in the kitchen, because we integrate with all the major players to like the DMS, CRM, credit, all that, to communicate back and forth so people don't have to jump from screen to screen. But the overall goal is to eliminate the friction points, also eliminate overhead, and just also make the customers happy. If you think about it, people don't come back to the dealership because they love the F&I manager. No offense to the F&I manager. They come back to the dealership because they had a great relationship with their salesperson, and that person treated them really well and maybe sent them a note after they bought a vehicle thanking them for their business. So we're really trying to bring it back to the front of the house and empower the salespeople as well. That's another thing we don't talk about. The turnover in the salesperson position is typically around 80%, which is pretty bad in any industry, I would consider. It's a little bit lower just due to how much salespeople are making now with all the inventory shortage, but it's still, that's going to come back. There's going to be a lot of turnover, and it's because sometimes these salespeople are just glorified appointment takers, and they're not empowered to actually be salespeople. So we do the training, we talk about leadership, we talk about how you relationship build. We're kind of redefining that role within the company as well. So there's a lot of different ways a dealer can do A to Z, but those are really the more important aspects to why dealers are really attracted to this model. And it also helps, save expenses and increase gross.
So I think I just came up with your next ad campaign idea for Natasha. You've got different departments, and they're like, and they see A to Z person coming, they're grumbling. You got BDC is grumbling, and F&I is cursing, and accounting, and they're all grumbling because here comes A to Z, and they're going to clean up the need for having 12 departments. And then at the end, the customer's all happy. They drive off the lot, and everyone high fives A to Z sync.
And they're gonna, and Jay, they're gonna make enough money that they have enough money left over to buy a Harrier.
Dude, there it is. And there's your tie-in.
True. Yeah, we've done studies like
Nice.
Work with Paragon Honda currently, and that was a big case study for us because of the size of the store, and the cost to sell a vehicle went down by 17% just switching to this model. However, like we're dealership agnostic, I say. If you want to keep a traditional process, our software and training helps as well. We go back to basics. We help with, all the different types of tabs that a dealership has on the screen, which is probably 20 at a time. So we also just help with the software component too.
Right. So if you like 6 hours in F&I, go for it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, we can do that too. Here's a
Here's
really slow, large button. We got you.
Hopefully we minimize that time by setting them up, giving the salespeople a lot of different aspect, like different tools to plant seeds for F&I. The Nilo group in Sacramento, they actually run that where they compensate their salespeople on selling F&I products. So like a lot of the time before they even get to the F&I office, half the job's done. So there's different ways to do it.
What did you call it? Nilo Company? What was that?
Is it Niello?
What
I think
company?
it's
Which one?
in Sacramento.
Say it again. What's the name?
Nilo.
Nilo. Nilo. How do you spell it? Nelo?
And
Nilo. Nilo. We're always trying to figure stuff out.
somebody now, somebody's like, yeah, remember that show where they kept trying to say that word Nello or Nilo or yellow?
It's like Velo. Remember we learned a new one?
Oh, Velo, yeah. Is it
Velo?
actually?
Yeah,
What
we
are we
learned a lot.
doing? We're live.
Josh,
We're gonna do this live. Hey, Josh. Yeah, Josh is like, I'm leaving. Josh, what are you doing? How's it going? Say hello. Please say hello. Oh, you're on courtesy mute. Please say hello. Tell us more about you.
Sorry about that. I, no activity in my office here until I knew you were probably going to turn to me, and here comes my dog, and I was like, no, you got to go. You will make too much noise. Can everybody hear me?
We caught up with Canine Companion on day 2. Yeah, we can
see
you.
It is a family show too.
You. It is a family show.
So we love dogs.
Yeah. Sure.
We saw a lot of dogs.
I'll let him in another time, but I do appreciate Jay and Ty. Ty, it was great connecting with you at NADA, and Jay, you've been pretty quick to communicate as well. So nice to be on here. Tom, Tom and I were on 2 calls today with each other, working with dealers, trying to help, bring light to some areas that, like Tom had discussed, that we feel dealers could use a little bit of assistance. And Susan, that's a cool product with A to Z. I've most certainly heard about that. I've actually met with a dealer yesterday who has a process very similar. Not sure if they use you or not. They didn't reference that, but that's definitely a unique way to sell a vehicle. And I can tell you that people get a little irritated about the process. So anything that you could do to make that quicker and more efficient, I'm sure would make a better customer experience. As I had said, I was on the live NADA show. I kind of gave a blurb of a little bit about myself and the company I work for. The company I work for is called ComplyNet. We are an almost 30-year-old compliance provider exclusively dedicated to automotive dealers. So everything we do is built for the car gal, car guy. And all of our folks at ComplyNet come from the automotive space. So if you work with us, you're going to get a team of dedicated resources that understand, the intricacies of the different departments of the dealership world. So when we send folks in, or we work with you on regulatory, work with you in regulatory areas, we really are able to relate, given that experience and tenure that our staff has. But we offer a complete compliance package. There's nothing regulatory or compliance we can't help you with, whether that's sales and finance, environmental health and safety, privacy and safeguards, human resources. As Tom and I know, the hottest button in the space, which I talked about, I know on your live, is privacy and safeguards. For those of you on the channel listening that aren't aware, dealers are held to a very high standard as it relates to keeping customer information secure. So there's a lot of things they have to do, and luckily there are folks like ComplyNet and others and Better Vantage Point out there that help dealers and guide them through those processes. Because let's face it, car dealers and they want to sell cars, service cars, make sure that process in between for the customer is efficient. And we don't expect them to be compliance experts. We just got to make sure they're mindful enough to know what to look out for and how to combat issues if they were to surface. So that, in a quick nutshell, is who we are, what we do. I've been working for ComplyNet for a few years now. I've worked for the ownership of ComplyNet back when they had an auto auction. So I come from the auction space. I know the transport space. I love the car haulers, as you call them. Very aware of them. And then my background, I had a short tenure as a logistics freight broker, and my family owns a diesel repair shop to this day that they've had since 1972. So I love truckers, and I've been around them my whole life. So happy to be here and contribute in any way I can. That's pretty much me and high level of ComplyNet. So.
Okay, well, I'm got a real quick in trucking. I don't know if this happens in dealer world, but in trucking, you're supposed to follow all these DOT compliance rules, regulations. You're supposed to have things, files, blah, blah, blah. So what happens in trucking, a lot of trucking just kind of maybe has it, and they get a notice of, hey, we're the DOT and we're going to come by and do an audit next month. And everybody starts just panic. I mean, the panic is so amazing. Like fear and sweat and tears and things start throwing. Everybody's crying and screaming. Does this happen in dealer land too?
Yeah,
Yes.
Unfortunately though, I don't really think that, the FTC or OSHA is going to give a dealer 30 days notice to get things put together. They're probably going to pop in when they want, or because there was some sort of issue, and usually it's unannounced. So they don't have that much time. So you can imagine the panic that sets in. Tom and I have, you'll have dealers that you try to educate and help them, and they say, now we're good. And then a few months later, 6 months, a year later, they've got a regulator in there and they're ready to do whatever they can to start working with you, because they realize that they probably should have been a little bit more, on the ball with this kind of stuff. So, we do everything we can to help get them up to speed, but, there's just so much for them to keep up with. All the regulators complete what's called a regulatory maze. It's a maze for a reason. It's meant to be complicated, right? And for the dealers, we want to help them stay focused on their primary objectives and really, take a lot of that legwork off their plate as it relates to compliance. So yeah, you're definitely right though. They face a very similar.
You could have like a break glass, product.
That's me. I'm the break glass product. So you teed me up perfectly, okay. Both of you, all of you, because at the Auto Intel Summit, sponsored by Cherokee Media.
Oh yeah.
In April.
April in Raleigh, we'll see you there. That's awesome.
In Raleigh, yeah. I am speaking on how to handle a regulator and what they're looking for when they come into your business and what's going to happen. So that's the topic that I'm talking about. So if you don't have your tickets, be in Raleigh, April 18th through 20th, and that's what I'm going to be talking about.
How to handle a regulator. And frankly, what I'm switching over to trucking in my mind, because our Wednesday show on Live Care Advice, that'd be a good one for Brian Riker. How to handle a DOT audit.
Yep. That's important.
Well, Auto Intel coming up April 18th through 20th. Tom, are you doing one session or are you doing two?
One.
But
okay. for you, I'll give you a private session if you're out
there you go.
filming.
There's one during the day, and then there's one. It's by the bar around the piano. He sings it.
That's where I met Tom, in the hallway, guys. Yeah, and just amazing.
Make sure you take care of your waiters and waitresses, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Try the veal. That's good stuff. All right, so we still have on the table. All right. Podcasters or booths for 200? Which way should we go?
Podcasts.
All right, Tom.
Tom, we got to go back to Tom.
Yeah, let's go to that post. What was in you shared a post on LinkedIn.
Up and show us?
I don't have it. You know what? I don't have a copy of it. I'll try to find it. Keep talking.
Okay, Tom. So Tom's on LinkedIn. And I say this pretty much every week now. If you're watching the show and you're not on LinkedIn, you should go ahead and get on LinkedIn, connect with Jay and I, and then just start going from there. Tom's on LinkedIn. Tom's been there forever. And when Tom says something on LinkedIn, a lot of people check it out. So Tom made a post regarding, go ahead, you take over now, Tom.
So there are so many amazing podcasters. Here's the post here that Jay's putting up in automotive. And it's really, it's hard, quite frankly, to make time to listen to all the content. I mean, the amount of content is incredible, including your podcast here today. So, yeah. So I was thinking about showing appreciation for these folks, because podcasts are a ton of work. I mean, to find the guests and confirm the guests and make sure the tech is working and make sure you know what questions to ask and to know what lanes you can go in or what lanes you can't go in, and then the post-production and then chopping it up in little pieces and being able to put that on social media. I mean, it goes on. The amount of work is incredible, and it goes on and on and on. And so I wanted to appreciate these people because week after week and month after month, they're hard at work doing this. And by the way, my $10 million idea, which maybe somebody's already done this, I'd love to be able to have an app that saves podcasts all in one place. So it doesn't matter the platform that it's on. It would be really cool to be able to say, gosh, I need to listen to that. Let me save it here and let me save this one here and put it all together so that when you're in the car and you have some time to listen, that you could go back to your to your place and listen to the podcasts. So my thinking around this was simply expressing appreciation and giving everyone also a resource to go to if they didn't know where to start or who did podcasts and what they were about. Each one has a little bit of a bent. Because of the long list, obviously I couldn't describe what each one was. So I just wanted to do it for the automotive community because I think it's important. I think it's critical that everybody know where they can go for information, who they can call for questions, and those kinds of things. So that was the motivation behind it.
That was awesome. So let's do it this way. I don't know. Let's start naming podcasts that you saw at the show, Susan. In fact, Marcus Amick. Who's Marcus Amick?
So Marcus Amick is a freelance writer. He has done a lot of content with Automotive News, specifically working in the OEM space. He does the podcast for Rocket, which is a training company, mobile app-based training company that I like to describe them as, and they describe themselves too, as kind of TikTok training. A lot of Gen Zers are entering the job market now, so to get their attention span, they've created a lot of content that has industry experts, so trainers, sales managers, other people who have bought and sold cars on the platform, and no more than 2-minute clips. So, but he's done their podcast, and we had him at our booth with Rockhead at NADA.
And so, what can you name some people and or companies that were within that media in your booth? Because I don't know.
Yeah, so we had 8 different people. So doing the podcast. To start off, we had Jennifer Swope from Swope Family Dealerships. She was 40 under 40 this year, so we wanted to get her in there. They're a progressive group. After that, we had Ryan Benstock of Paragon Honda and Acura, and we had David Kane of Automotive.
Yeah.
So David Kane works very closely with A to Z. And then we had Phil Langley he's the dealer network at Stellantis. So that was a very interesting conversation because Stellantis is at the top of conversation in terms of direct to consumer. They're going the agency model in Europe. So a lot of dealers have a lot of questions about what they're doing. And then on Saturday, we had Warner Jones, who's the CEO of True Video. We had my CEO, Natasha Geiner. She's A to Z. Then we had Marco Schnabel, who was the co-founder of Automotive Mastermind.
Oh, wow.
And, he also is a chair of Rocket as well. And then we had Mike Overfelt, who is the general manager of CMA, Carter Myers Auto Group in Charlottesville. So we had a lot of heavy. So it was good to listen to what they had to say about the industry.
Diving into the logistics, how was that all managed? Were they, Yeah,
it was.
That's a lot.
I was lucky to work with the team at Rockhead, just organizing the schedule. We had 4 each day. We tried to break it up a little bit, but Marcus and Toya, who is their project manager, do this all the time. So they had all the equipment. They brought that. They had a speaker so people could listen. Brian Benstock actually came by. There was about a crowd of 30 people as he was doing his thing, dropping a lot of fire. And but it was just interesting to see how that was laid out. Last year we had people stop by our booth to do some interviews, and they were really well received. So that's the idea behind why we did it this year with a company that already had a podcast, to see how much traction they could get, how many people would stop by and actually listen, and then we can how much we would get after the show as well. So I think the podcasts are super valuable at NADA. The workshops are really kind of dealer specific. Most exhibitors don't have the education badge. They don't pay for the extra one. So
I'm glad you brought this up. At no point have I talked about the education workshops. Everything with me has been expo floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we
sounds like a sentence incomplete.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't. Is the education workshops, is that a private club?
No, so you just have to pay extra. So
so it's a private club. Okay.
Yeah. So when you sign up as an exhibitor, they don't give you the education badges unless you pay for it. So, and a lot of the exhibitors are there to show anyways. So I get why maybe they might not go for the education badge, but that's why I think it's really important to have these educational seminars on the floor themselves. I want to learn. I know a lot of other vendors want to learn, and the education workshops aren't really talking about the products or what's going on with products and what dealers are using. They're product agnostic, which is fair. So I think it's really cool. Techion had a great series podcast. We built a huge stage. And
on the expo floor.
Yeah, it was huge.
Is that the one where Brian
We saw it. We were there.
Yeah,
Brian had the
workout
party
crew?
and they were all jumping. Yeah, the workout team.
Gosh.
And then
the work.
crazy Andy Elliott was up there. Wow.
But they had even not Brian Bedsack. There was a lot of David Spizak ran that whole thing, so they had him be the moderator. And when I walked by there a couple times, there was always a crowd and people looking to listen, which I think is really great, because I think vendors could find themselves in the dealership world and vice versa. And so learning from each other on the floor is super important. And I've always just been about the educational piece when marketing A to Z and networking. I'll take any call, and I'll reach out to anyone that I might think is interested, just to educate them on what we do, because you never know. And I think as an industry, that's something that we're really good at. That's why I think we have so many good podcasters and people like Automotive State of the Union, David Kane. They all have, different podcasts that they do and seminars that are really valuable to the industry.
I'm going to share this because I just saw this tag. Check this out. Breaking news live on ATI. Antoinette at UVI gave a shout out to me and Ty and ATI. This is Ty's camera rig.
Oh, look at that.
Isn't that
That's
cool?
crazy. That's a great shot. Yeah.
I know.
Wow, that is cool.
It's right on what you were saying. The power of that's pretty cool. I think now I'm understanding more of why there were so many podcasters on the expo floor, because it adds a new dimension. I guess that's what. So now the ad is there's no need to go to the educational workshops when you can get it all on the expo floor. Okay, now that's not an ad. No, nobody's saying that.
That almost sounds.
But
that was good.
It sounds like someone has an axe to grind. Yeah, go take it away.
Well, no, I got to meet some of these guys. Like the ones I watch, like I do catch Paul and Kyle. I actually watch some of their stuff. I got to see them. I got to shake their hand, short, brief conversation. I also met, who else did I meet? I saw Brian. He was on stage, of course, and there's one other one I met. The Car Coffee guys. I think I saw them.
Car Guy Coffee Podcast.
Fred and Lou.
Yeah, Yeah, Fred and Lou, yeah.
A lot of energy to the discussions, and that's what Automotive State of the Union does as well. They're trying to make it fun and lighthearted. They're interesting. They talk a lot about things just not necessarily so industry specific. They talk about the economy as a whole and the ecosystem, which directly affects the business, which I think is important too. Sometimes we get down such a rabbit hole in what we're doing in automotive. Like my LinkedIn feed is just all automotive, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on in the world today. So Paul and Kyle really bring in a great different approach to, educating their viewers. They have a great, they do a daily email called the Pushback. So if you could subscribe, but they have a lot of clever things on there. Obviously they focus a lot on auto, but there's some other pieces in there that they throw in there that, could be useful to the business world. Because if you look at it, Elon Musk is one of the richest men in the world. He's in automotive, so
maybe not anymore.
Maybe not anymore. Yeah, yeah. Brian Benstock said that.
Right, because if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Because he had to discount his cars. So welcome to the car business, he said.
So, and Chris Vasquez of Orbi, I believe he was conducting interviews. So it's unfortunate he couldn't be here tonight.
Yeah,
it's kind of it.
Over at Orbi is great. They are they're about education as well. They're taking off. They got a lot of great dealer partners. So big groups, Pohanka, Flow Automotive, that are working with them to on their marketing and data reporting. They just partnered with a couple of Automotive Mastermind at NADA. So yeah, they got a lot going on as well. So they should be educating the masses.
We didn't even talk about automotive news and CBT news, right up there at the top, covering everything. If you look at industry news, what is the number one traditional media news source used in Jay's ATI industry news on Tuesday nights? What news source do I use the most? The answer is
Automotive news.
Automotive news.
Yeah.
I mean, it is pervasive. It's everywhere. And it's really good news. They got great reporters. We've had Larry Veliket on the show. Ty, you were going to say.
Yeah, Larry Veliket.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, Susan made an excellent point that I didn't catch until right now. But by having the podcast in your booth, Susan, Rock Ed, Marcus, and Toya, right? They were there scheduling the big names, the heavy hitters, the crowd, the influencers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come over to your booth. Well, I'm not kidding. I was there. I saw it. If you see Brian Benstock, there is literally a crowd around that guy. Even minus his personal crowd, there's still another crowd. So he had his group, his gym guys, the workout guys that were real buff. He had them with him. Then he's got another set around that. And to come to your booth, that is brilliant advertising, in my opinion. Marketing, advertising, whatever word you want to use. But that's really cool. I didn't think about it. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and he's a client of ours, and he brings a different look to what we do because he's such high volume. We different approach to how we tackled his stores. We did a phased-in approach to roll out the one-person model. And New York City is a different breed. Those guys are, hunt, kill. They're willing to do whatever it takes. So it was received very well in their stores, but we did take a different approach. So it's always good to hear what he has to say because he's kind of at the cusp of everything that's going on, and he's always looking for something, to send him to the next level. And then we have dealers, that are in small town Virginia or small town Maryland that bring a really good perspective to what we do too. So that happy medium there to show, what we do can be done anywhere. And that's super important as well with our marketing.
Good. So that means, Josh, next conference you go to.
I know. What's
ATI.
Josh? What are you thinking right now?
I'm just taking it all in over here.
Yeah.
It's I'm Eastern Standard Time. It's 9:45 over here, so you guys are really
Dude, it's late. The dog's hungry. It's late.
Yeah, we got to take you with the dog. Oh,
yeah,
man.
no, it's
That's good.
I think it's interesting, and admittedly, I totally agree with Susan. I go down the rabbit hole of what I do all day, every day, and a lot of times I don't pop up and look around. So it's so intriguing to me to see all of you, thriving in this sort of environment and total different aspects of the automotive space, but we're all kind of here for that, in a way, in a collaborative effort to help, dealers or customers of dealers and things like that. So just taking it in, not trying to be quiet, just didn't want to interrupt anybody. And I think it's awesome. I appreciate being on here. I don't really listen to podcasts that much because I found when I'm trying to work is the only time I have a minute. I have little kids. So when I'm working, I can't really pay attention and listen and do what I need to do. So I have to stay down in my rabbit hole, as Susan would say. So
little kids are their own podcast, aren't? Yeah. Lots of baby Einstein. There's your podcast.
Maybe I'll just start being on them, and then I will just participate in that way because I'm not very good at listening to them, but I'm going to try to get better at it.
Watching
this one.
That's good.
This is interesting. And that the fact that Tom's post is mixing here with, because the original idea of this show was an NADA evolution series of how podcasters, I saw so many as we were leading up. I was like, wow, I don't think there's ever been that many podcasters at an NADA.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Last
No
year,
way.
ones I knew of were CBT. Automotive State of the Union was there, so too. And Automotive News. But yeah, not really anyone. I think a lot of people are just trying to find a different media source to get the word out. Everyone's on LinkedIn now for the most part, connected to their phone. So what way to kind of get them to your booth through their phone. So,
which is interesting too. Go, Ty, please.
I got a question for Josh. I was at the NIADA Buy Here, Pay Here conference, NIADA Buy Here, Pay Here conference. And you know who I ran into the most at that conference? Compliance guys. Do you go to those?
Yeah, so that's the Super Forum. Our team was down.
Yeah.
When Tom had made his post, he tagged Adam Crowell, our president and general counsel. Adam was busy, Ty, when you came over to the booth. He was talking to some people that he couldn't break away from. But that's how this whole thing kind of came up, is that Adam got tagged and then you posted this video. So Adam then sends me the video. I mean, obviously I knew that we had chatted and all that, but Adam's like, hey, you're famous. Cause usually we have a joke that Adam's famous because Adam, if you go to Adam's LinkedIn, he's got like 20,000 connections and he's just very well known in the industry. But to answer your question, Ty, absolutely. We participate in, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's franchise, independent. We really do help dealers big and small nationwide. So, and Buy Here, Pay Here dealers are under probably even more, Tom, probably even more scrutiny than, than a franchise dealer. And sometimes they think, oh, I'm independent, I'm off the radar. And then it's people like us that say, no, you're not. You are not. You are a bank because you are lending money to, and I was explaining, it's interesting that this comes up, and just very, very briefly, a friend of mine was asking me today, who's not in the car business, he didn't know what Buy Here, Pay Here was. He's like, yeah, I got this property. My tenant said he has to go to the dealership every week and make payments. And I said, yeah. And he goes, man, you should see this car they charged him for, and I'm like, okay, well, and I explained the whole process to him, and it was just interesting how that I just had that conversation earlier about the Buy Here, Pay Here model. But yeah, we definitely.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because, first of all, from a transportation perspective, that's my favorite customer, Buy Here, Pay Here. And it's not nothing to do with repo, it's recon, right? So they buy the car, they take it to the recon before they put it on the lot. Most of them do. So you take it from the auction to the recon lot, to the store, right? And then after you drop them off at the store, you pick up the repos out back and bring them back to the recon. Just keep recycling. So from a transportation perspective, it's great. But I love to talk about Buy Here, Pay Here because, you look at what's going on in the economy right now. JD Byrider was at the NADA. Why was JD Byrider at NADA? Answer that. I mean, their booth was massive and they spent a lot. Tom, why was NADA there? I mean, JD Byrider?
I think, my very limited understanding of JD Byrider is their franchise deal, right? So they are looking to sell their franchise to franchise dealers who don't know how to do buy here, pay here business.
We work with them now.
You got them now, Josh?
No, so Byrider, they have their corporate umbrella, right? And they will franchise locations. And a lot of times what you'll find is if you do, I shouldn't say a lot of times, I don't know that for a fact, but in some instances, franchise dealers and very reputable independent dealers buy or get into a franchise of JD Byrider. So if I had to bet, they were probably there to talk to folks that are maybe you got a GM that's been in a store for a long time and they don't have any ownership, but they do a really nice job, and that opportunity might be enticing to them. That is just my guess. I have no idea, but I do know that we work now with some. We don't work with like the corporate, but we do work with some Byrider locations because each store has their own discretion to make certain decisions, and compliance is one of them that we've been able to.
Wow. That's really cool. Well, that's awesome, guys. I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like it was a really good meeting, and there was a lot of good engagement. And it was Jay. Am I taking off on you? Where'd you go?
You're good. No, you're good. Can you see me?
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, there
Mic check.
No, let's keep going.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's keep going for a few minutes.
Don't tell Jay that. Don't tell Josh.
Yeah. Ty's always like, yeah. Grab the broom. Let's get out of here. You know. What are you doing, man?
I still do have my energy drink from earlier. That's
perfect. See, Ty, he's got an energy.
This is when I was talking to Tom. This is when I was talking to Tom this morning. I've still got it. So if you guys want to keep going, we can. But tomorrow it's not going to be as fun for me as it may be for everybody else.
All right, we'll land the plane soon. But I will say,
only if it's a Harrier.
There we go. See, and like three. It's all everything in threes.
We got to get going so we can watch this Pepsi Where's My Jet thing.
Pepsi Where's My Jet. Yeah. It's on Netflix.
Before I go to bed.
4 episodes.
Oh boy.
All right. So, is there anything we didn't touch upon as far as podcast Landia goes? I think we got it.
How many hours do we have left?
I don't know. Yeah, Ty. How many hours? Okay. I think we are almost done. But what's interesting is you were talking about NIADA. When is the next one? Is that next fall? Is that like October?
I think there's one in July.
Is there?
Isn't that right, Josh?
Ooh.
Yep.
It's July in Texas, as I recall.
Yeah, it's like I think it's the 18th. It's the 18th through 22nd. I can get you the specific dates on that.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get that on the calendar because we don't have that. Texas in July. That's paradise.
It's got to be nice.
Right? I hope it's outside.
I know that Adam will be speaking at that one. Is that in Austin?
I think it is in Austin.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was hoping for.
So this is so cool because
it's in Vegas. It's in Vegas in June 18th.
Vegas in June.
Oh, same thing.
Vegas.
Right.
Jay's air conditioner will be pumping hard.
Yeah. It's
real hard.
Vegas in June. What was that? June 18th.
June 9th. It changed as soon as I clicked. June 19th through 22nd. The win in Las Vegas. NIADA convention.
Awesome.
Now that is not the Buy Here Pay Here Super Forum. That is their annual convention.
Oh.
Yeah. But that's still good. That's one of my favorites. No, it's really amazing.
It's very packed as well. I can tell you that.
Jay, we went to NIADA in Vegas last year. We were there. We met CDK and all kinds of other people. But here's what I'm excited about. I'm excited that I now know Josh. Yeah, we were at the NIADA. Big time. For real.
Adam, our president and general counsel, Adam, is going to be speaking there. I think he has 2 slots, if I remember correctly. So he will be.
Yeah. That's great. Because I want to meet Adam. I want to shake his hand. Then I want to do an interview with him live, just like I did with you. And then maybe have Tom. If Tom's around, get Tom.
That's it. Exactly. Find Tom.
Yeah. Get Tom. Well, we'll definitely see you in Raleigh, Tom.
Auto Intel Summit.
And we're going to talk to you. Yeah.
So this is good. This will be our last touch point. So Josh, we'll see you next at NIADA in June.
We have some state associations that we're tied in very closely with that we have endorsements that actually have their convention at the exact same date. So Adam and I have to part ways. So I will be at the state association, which is 3 states, and then Adam and a few of our team members will be at NIADA. So.
Okay, and we're in touch with Adam, so we'll see Adam.
Yeah,
at
yeah,
NIAD.
I can connect those dots for you. Adam
go.
loves this kind of thing. He'd be more than happy to hop on here one of your Tuesday nights.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. So good. We got more ComplyNet in the future. We know we've got Better Vantage Point in the future at Auto Intel Summit. Susan, when are we going to see you next?
We actually will be at NIADA as well.
Oh.
I work into the independent space more and more. They surprisingly they already do a A to Z process for most of the stores because they're one-man shows. But they
not much to streamline in a startup.
They just the software, and also a focus on F&I too. We help them increase their F&I productivity. But we have a couple other conferences. We're going to be at the David Kane conference in April.
That's at the same time. Those are the exact same dates as the Auto Intel. It's the 18th through the 20th.
Be there, the David Kane one, and then we'll be a part of some state associations like Greater New York, Colorado out here, California, participating in their yearly meetings, I guess they're called. They're in some nice places, so we're gonna go out there, and then DX Auto will be out, and that's in July as well. But and driving sales, we try to go to all of them. So just we don't exhibit at all.
Digital dealer? Will we see a digital dealer?
Be at the digital dealer in May. So yeah, we try to attend pretty much all the conferences. We don't exhibit at all of them. I think we're only exhibiting at 2, but we like to have a presence there.
Cool. All right, so Ty will see you at Digital Dealer.
Perfect.
In May. Perfect. And, I was thinking about this, Tom. How about podcast bookmark?
Yeah.
Ironic.
Let's do it.
Right, because I don't. Podcast bookmark. I have to email myself. I earlier today emailed myself Paul Machine's LinkedIn podcast update because I forgot to watch it, but I don't want to forget about it.
Right, it's hard.
I have emails of podcasts.
Right.
That's what we should call emails of podcasts. No. Podcast bookmark. It is. It's almost silly.
Somebody should do it, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm not the only.
Spotify.
I'm not the only guy who's ever thought of this, right?
But doesn't it have to be podcast agnostic? Won't Spotify be like, well, you can't listen to YouTube on our,
Oh, you're talking about all of them.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Whether it's SoundCloud or YouTube or Spotify or
Rumble,
Joey's Garage.
Bumble, and Bobby's Backyard.
Exactly.
Jeez. All right, guys. That was amazing.
I love it. All right. Well, keep your eyes open for
figure
that.
Out that. No. Have it the next time I see you.
No. Okay. All right. Ty, you still have 4 minutes. So, no, listen, everybody, thank you so much. Number one, thank you for making time for us. And
that was really
short
nice.
notice. This was one of those tough shows to put together. Cool. We would have had twice the people, but the flu hit NADA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Didn't hit me. Did it hit you, Susan?
Guests dropping like flies.
That's not true, because Susan, Josh, and I
the
were
panel
all
is at home
fine.
sneezing right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. When I got back to Denver, it was -5 degrees, so I was not happy about that.
When it's cold enough, it'll just kill that flu bug.
I walked in there.
I don't know if it works that way.
You're good.
I don't know.
All right.
Well,
thanks, guys. That was really nice.
Thank you very
Good to
much.
see everybody.
We'll see you at a show soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming around.
Okay.
I really appreciate it. All right, take care. Good night. All right, that's it. The meeting is over. Everybody has left.